In this lesson, we'll begin building our muscle system. Here in 02 Begin, we have an empty scene and we'll build our muscle from scratch. Now this muscle is going to be more than just a way of holding volume. We can use it to rig areas like the spine, like the character's neck. And that's great because what that means is we can start to push our poses a bit further. We'll create something that's very flexible and stylized. Or if we decide to not quite get so stylized, we can still create some very fun poses with this type of system. So it has more than just one purpose. But it will help us to hold volume. We'll create an advanced twist system that is able to go past 180 degrees. And that's mainly the reason why we're going to build this out instead of using 3ds Max's muscle strand object. If we were to go to helpers underneath our create panel, we can then go ahead and switch from standard to cat objects and choose the muscle strand object. Let's click about 4 times to create the strand, and now we can right click to exit the tool. So you can see we have a few handles here that we can use to adjust the upper and lower sections of the muscle. And then if you were to have a closer look inside, let's go ahead and press F3 to go to wireframe mode. You'll notice that we have these extra controls called handles that we can use to push the curvature of our muscle. And then on top of that, we can move over to our modify panel. Take a look, we can enable squash and stretch to hold volume. Our rig is going to essentially do the same thing, except it will be able to move past the 180 degree limit that this muscle object has. And that way, you can go ahead and build from it and create something that would be more ideal for your rig. So let's go ahead and get started. Underneath Create, we'll go ahead and switch back to Standard, and we'll create a point helper. Let's switch from cross to box. That way we have a better sense of volume, especially when we start to create squash and stretch. We'll press the S key, and let's go ahead and snap to grid. If you need to check your snap settings, just go ahead and right-click on the snapping tool and make sure it's set to grid points. All right, from there, I'll go ahead and click right at the center of the scene. There's our first control for the muscle. We'll also skin to this object. Let's now go ahead and clone this. So what I'll do is go ahead and basically enable the snapping tool yet again. We'll go ahead and take the cloned object and move it about 6 units up. So let's hold down Shift. That way we can clone from this object. And again, we're moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 units high. Nice. Let's go ahead and click OK. And now we can go ahead and disable snapping. Let's now go ahead and focus in on our perspective view and rename these 2 objects. So this first one will be muscle underscore start. And then the one at the top, let's go ahead and copy this name. We'll rename that to muscle end. Keep in mind, we'll be using the muscle prefix throughout the entire system. That way we can do things like find objects a lot faster. We can rename the entire system faster. And if anything, it helps us to stay organized. Nice. Now it's time to create more helpers, the helpers that we will place in between these 2. And these helpers will be tied to our squash and stretch system. So as we start to bring in these upper and lower controls a bit tighter together, or as we start to stretch them, again, we'll be able to hold volume in a natural way. So let's do this. We'll hold down Shift, and we'll clone to create another helper. Let's go ahead and choose OK. I'm actually going to drop the size of this one just a little bit. So we could set this to about, let's say, 15. All right, sweet. Now from here, let's go ahead and make sure that this is placed in between these 2 helpers. We can use a position constraint to do that. So with it selected, we'll go to Animation, Constraints, and we'll grab the position constraint. Let's go ahead and connect to one helper. And now we'll go back to Animation, Constraints. We'll reapply the position constraint, and we'll select the next helper. And now it's perfectly centered. Sweet. So from there, we can basically remove the position constraint. We no longer need it. It's done its job. Let's go ahead and Alt-right click and choose Freeze Transform, and then click Yes. Nice. Now, we'll go ahead and create 2 more helpers. So let's do this. We'll hold down Shift and it'll create a helper. We'll go ahead and do the same thing, this time for the lower section of our muscle. And we'll go ahead and center them the same way. So again, we'll go ahead and grab the object to center. We'll go to Animation, Constraints, grab our position constraint. Later I'm going to show you how 3ds Max can be customized so we can access these types of tools much faster. So there's one. If you want to, you could also go to your motion panel underneath position. You can get to your position constraint settings and you can choose add position target and then select the next helper. Alright, so that's centered. We're now ready to freeze our transforms. Let's do the same thing for this lower helper. So just go ahead and jump back to animation and we'll grab our position constraint. So there's one, and let's do that one more time. There we go. All right, sweet. So once we've done that, again, it's time to freeze our transforms. Sweet. Let's go ahead and get these renamed. So the one closest to start, the one that we have named muscle start, let's go ahead and name this muscle_A. So we'll name the others alphabetically. I'll copy the name. We'll go to the next. Paste, and that will be muscle B. Sweet. Then one more. So this will be muscle C. All right, fantastic. Once we've done that, let's go ahead and grab all helpers. We'll go ahead and Alt-right click and choose Freeze Transform. We'll have to do this again when we link them to our global node that we'll create in the following lesson, but I like to do that at times just in case I am testing out a control and I'd like to go back to the starting position. All we need to do is go ahead and Alt-right click and use Transform to 0 to do that. Sweet. And now our last step is to take all of these and store them in their own layer, again to stay organized. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. We'll name it muscle_main. Fantastic. Let's make sure that the default layer is still active. That way, as we start to create new objects, we'll have them added here. And that's to be on the safe side because sometimes we might change the preferences on a custom layer. So we just want to make sure that no new objects will be affected by those preferences. So we'll make sure, again, that the default layer is active, and that'll be it for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll create the muscle systems global node.